I turn the camera on even though you're not ready.
love
That makes
it.
it, genuine, authentic.
Honey, it can't get any more authentic than what it is.
I always turn on the camera before she's ready. All right, and action. You're on.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, watercolor sketches. Elizabeth, you've taught a class in Italy that is sketching in a watercolor journal, yes?
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay, and so the genesis of these papers that you're going to see today is I forget why we were looking at them I think when I was here in December, and my mouth was hanging open because they were so wonderful. And I remember saying to you over dinner, we got to do something with these. It's a shame to let them sit in those journals and not let them see the light of day.
Yeah, who looks in the journals? Nobody.
So 2 months later, here we are.
Here we are.
And this first collection is Florals #1, and that might suggest to you that there's going to be a Floral 2, which there will be.
There's a sequel.
It's just a question of getting there.
Right.
So there are 5 sheets in this collection, and each sheet features one of a sketch from Elizabeth's books. And what I've done is tried to give you some sizes that are usable for cards and for journals, and I've given you some small sizes. I mean, in this particular collection, there aren't really small ones, and that is a hint that there is another collection coming at some point with some little ones. But harken your mind back to ATCs and then inchies and twinchies, and that's kind of where eventually some of this is going to go. It's going to be littler ones that you can do a variety of different things with, and so I'm really excited about that. And
that's a real thing? A twinchy, inchy?
It started at inchy. It was a 1x1 thing, and then it expanded to become a twinchy, which was 2x2. And then the granddaddy of them all was an ATC, which is like a baseball card at 2.5 by 3.5.
The things that I don't know.
Well, you're kind of enmeshed in your own fine art world, and the rest of us is just out there being crazy.
Being twinchies. That didn't even roll off my tongue very easily.
No,
because I want to say Twinkie.
Yeah,
remember Twinkies?
Oh, I remember Twinkies.
They had a shelf life of 8 years.
800 years some of the time, I think.
You could still find some, probably.
Yeah, probably. So today we're going to show you these 5 that are part of this Florals #1 collection. This is our standard rice paper. It's the stuff that I have printed in Italy. Geez, I can't talk today. The ink is archival and fade resistant, so that means that you don't have to take all of that into consideration. We've already done that for you. And I forgot where I was going to go.
I was waiting for her to forget where she was going. I'm thinking to myself, with all that talk of Twinkies, I can't believe she's still on track.
No, trust me, I'm not on track.
I was waiting.
Yeah, just a little hint of what's to come. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I like to make pretty pages. And some of the time, that sucker won't focus.
Over there, I think it focuses over there.
All right, so some of the time...
No, maybe not. I think we have to hide you. That's it. The key is to cover your head.
Easy peasy.
Then it focuses.
Yeah. So sometimes making pretty pages means you start with paint or sprays and you apply it to a background. And sometimes it means you start with something like this. And my head is gone and it's still not focusing.
Well, both of our heads have to be gone.
It takes your magic touch.
It wants to focus on heads.
Yeah, it's that weird shadow that's happening from the light too.
What is going on with that shadow?
I don't know. But anyway, pretty pages can start with you creating from the background up, or it can start with you working with something like this, which means you have the ability to work with Elizabeth's art, which I always think is a fun thing. It becomes a collaborative effort that is very effortless for you because you don't have to, you've already done all the hard work, but the rest of us get to play with your art.
Which is fun.
Yeah, and so Elizabeth...
I made card.
Yeah.
An envelope that I'm going to send to Barb.
She's really good about making and
Dear
sending
Barb.
cards. I am not so much.
No.
But you have embarrassed me on a couple of occasions into remembering to do it.
I send her own cards sometimes. She makes them here and I steal them and mail them to her.
She did that over Christmas. That was my Christmas card. It was a really big number 12 tag that we had just brayered some color on. That was my Christmas card, remember? You are evil.
I said in the video that it was going to be your Christmas card. It was a roll-off sheet that we folded in half, and I just wrote Merry Christmas on the front of it in my world's worst handwriting, nothing like fancy. And I put it in an envelope and mailed it to her.
And I snorted and chuckled when I opened that. I thought she really did steal this and send it to me.
That was funny. That was a good one. That's even better than this one. But I did set this one up. I started writing you a note.
Yes, you did.
So, is it in focus?
I don't think so.
Maybe.
It's just one of the,
Yeah. Anyway.
This is such a professional operation. not.
Yes, well, if we could just show you that we got a new gimbal thingy that holds the camera, and our counterbalance weight is a bag full of salt.
Yeah, it's kosher salt in a quart bag, and it works really
Draped
well.
over the end of the
So
stick
why would we
so
do
that the
anything
phone
else?
doesn't go down like this and the salt holds it up like that. Right?
We are, if nothing, we are
Inventive.
Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. It was just not there. Yes, we can figure most stuff out.
Yeah.
It's not pretty, but it's functional, which is really all that matters.
Well, we looked on Amazon, and the sandbags for photography situation were not only expensive, but they were sold empty.
Hello.
So we had to come find our own sand. I mean, what's the point of that? So we figured, look, we're just going to put the salt in a Ziploc, and we're good.
It works.
It works.
Shall we go work some more?
Yes.
All right.
Speaking of working,
Yeah. All
back
right.
to work.
Let's do it.
So I am super excited to announce another set of awesome rice papers with the fine folks at Joggles, made in Italy. And these are a series of watercolor paintings from my sketchbooks. There are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different sheets. This first one is called Wildflowers. And it is, Barb set these up with multiple sizes, which is super cool. So you have a big one, a slightly smaller one, and then 2 little ones. And this is on the 30 GSM rice paper that we always use. And it's nice and thin. It glues down super flat. And it's awesome for a lot of different projects. So that's the first one. The second one is called Zinnia Trio. And this one has a lot of little ones that you can have super fun with in your mixed media projects, and one that's sort of a medium size. Zinnias are actually my favorite flowers. So there's that one. And then the next one is Zippy Zinnia Color Study. So this one has got my color swatches. It's got a little bit of Italian print material because I created this in my watercolor journal while I was in Italy. And it's got a fun, scratchy line drawing with watercolor wash of zinnia. The next one here is called, what is it called? Posies.
I can't read upside down either.
I can't read upside down.
This is one of my favorites. I like the fact that this is a long, narrow one.
Like here.
Yes.
Yes, and these small, long, narrow ones are fun. This one went across the spread of the watercolor book, so it took advantage of the long, narrow orientation. And you got lots of flowers in here, and a fun border, a couple of borders, and the glass vase. So that has a lot of creative possibilities. And then in the same theme is this one, which is Bouquet Color Study. Same thing. I've got my little swatches and my glass vase of mixed bouquet. Another one, I believe, from Italy in my watercolor sketchbook from traveling. So these have all been reproduced on this awesome rice paper. And Barb and I have a couple of projects that we have created with these to inspire you.
I like to create pretty pages, and it's fun to create pretty pages when it's as effortless as it is to use rice paper like this. I mean, these are beautiful as they are, and you can do something as simple as I did, which is to use sticky stuff and just put it in here, and then I picked a quote and put it on the side. You can do that. You could certainly add a sentiment. There's plenty of other ways that you can embellish this page. I just kept it pretty simple. So that is one of the 5. And then someplace here is this one. And this is, I forget, I think this is named Bouquet Color Study. And I imitated what Elizabeth did here. I just imitated along the bottom. So there's a variety of ways that you can incorporate these into your journal pages. And I like to make pretty pages, and it's pretty effortless. Now, the one thing that I didn't do was actually put I could have put some stickles on here. I could have used the metallic markers and put little accents on here, but I didn't. So those are plenty of options that you can explore too. Now, with that said, let's talk for a second about sticky stuff. So this happens to be, this is our 6x12 sticky stuff. We also have it as 6x6, but I just find that this piece is a little bit more usable, especially when you're working with larger size pieces the way that we are. So this stuff is super simple to use. You've seen us demo it before. I'm only gonna quickly talk about this, but this is an adhesive piece of film that has release paper on both sides. So when I peel this back, whoops, there we go. there's the sticky stuff. So I would put a piece of rice paper on the back, or with the back side on, attached to the sticky stuff. And then I would trim this. And then once you get through doing that, well, this is a mess. You have a piece that's cut out now, and then you just peel the release paper off the back and you've created a sticker. It's really easy to do. And it's much, I find for certain applications, it works really well because I don't have to monkey around with wet adhesive that could cause, especially something thin like this, that could cause the paper to warp. And plus it's instant. The minute it's on, it's on. So this is, I think this is Zinnia Trio, and this is couple of the smaller ones. Now, I don't have anything here that I can die cut, and I don't have a stamp set that has a sentiment in it, but there's plenty of room left to do those kinds of things. Again, there's lots of ways to embellish this, and you're going to see Elizabeth do this too, where you just use a little piece. Now, she's going to do a little bit more elaborate than I did, but you can kind of gussy up the front of the envelope so that it matches the card. There's that. Now, the thing to think about...
Are you going to send me that card?
Yes, I'll send it to you because I'm so bad about sending cards. We can send each other cards that we made in this video.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to hold you to it.
I might even do it.
Awesome.
So one of the things about, one of the beauties of this paper is how lightweight it is and how transparent it can be. Now that's not quite as obvious. Let me pick this up. So you can see a little bit here about my fingers moving. If I were to use a wet media with this, if I were to use gel medium, it makes the paper even more translucent. And when you do something like that, and I wanted to work with this and make a card, but you can see that the color is a little bit obvious through here. So the way around that is to mount your rice paper. This is just a piece, well, you can see the sticky stuff on the back. This is just a piece of white of watercolor paper. It was probably a tag that I cut down to fit. So by putting the rice paper on this white, it in no way is the underlying color on this going to go ahead and influence what I see. The other thing that I wanted to mention is if you have, and this I want to say is about 5.5 by 5.5, somewhere in that neighborhood, and you look at this and you think, well, all right, well, that doesn't really work for that card front. Well, you can be as creative as you want. Let's pretend this is our card front. If you want to maintain this strip of text, lop this off over here and use the sticky stuff to adhere it. You can, in fact, lop this off a little bit more. Nobody's the wiser. And if you wanted to leave a bigger border, or if you wanted to mount this and put layers behind it so you might have some narrow colored borders, and then you're left with an area here where you can go ahead and stamp your sentiment. So whether you do pretty pages, or you make cards, or you make all kinds of little bits of things, this is the kind of stuff that brings me joy. I like creating things from the ground up, but I also think that it's fun to start with something as beautiful as Elizabeth's sketches that come from, you're freaking me out, that come from her watercolor journals.
Fine.
Stop it, you beast. So lots of options. Pretty, no matter how you slice and dice it, whether you use it as is or you embellish it, I think you're going to enjoy working with these.
So the first thing, or the thing that I'm going to do, is a panel card and number 10 Astro Bright envelope with the zinnias. So I created, I adhered these with sticky stuff, which is basically Joggle's solid sheet of adhesive. I really like that because you don't have to worry about a wet medium kind of making the envelope wrinkly. It's archival adhesive, so if you want to use it in your artwork, these rice papers are also fade resistant and archival, so you can use the sticky stuff and the rice papers in your mixed media work. So I had this on the envelope, and I wanted to have a little fun by extending the border and creating sort of the same border that is in the sketch, and like bringing this down like that. And then I thought I would extend the stem of this zinnia and draw another leaf. And it's not hard. You just look at the one above and maybe another little one here. And it's kind of a neat way to pull the art out and to add some drawing. And then I thought I would give myself the same kind of a fun border for the address.
Oh, aren't you clever? I didn't realize that that's what you were going to do.
Yes. So I'm going to do this. And that's where my address is going to go. So it picks up some elements of this. And then I'm going to put my return address on the back flap so that it doesn't mess up the front. So we'll just put St. Hilaire on here and my address. So that works totally fine on the back. And then you have this nice clean kind of front that goes with the theme. So in keeping with that, I'm now going to take my panel card and do the same thing with the border. I'll add a few elements to this. Come all the way down here. The swirlies at the corners, some hash marks, some crosses, wiggles, back up, connect to this. And then I can write a note in my card. Dear Barb.
Am I going to get this in the mail?
Yep. Wish you were here. I don't know what else to write.
I know. You have to send me one of these from Italy the next time, or Mexico. Then I really wish I was there, and you know, I bet you do too, because we have a good time.
Yes, you should come.
It's under consideration. Look at that.
And so on and so forth. We can write a little bit more, and then we sign it at the bottom. That's how I sign everything. And then you have this fun little card and envelope that you can send to your friend and give the mailman a little bit of visual interest as well. So there you have it. That's what I like to do with these little rice papers, is just make a fun card. But you can certainly use them for all kinds of other things. And Barb has already showed you some amazing things. So hope you enjoy. Okay, so on that note, that's all we have to say.
That's it. We're done.
That's it. We're done. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.